What if I told you at the height of World War II, there was a secret Nazi plot that would have changed history? A plan to assassinate the big three: Roosevelt, Stalin, and Churchill. Welcome to Between the Covers. #1 New York Times bestselling author Brad Meltzer is here. And you know he writes page-turning thrillers, but he also writes nonfiction. And today we're looking at The Nazi Conspiracy, the secret plot to kill Roosevelt, Stalin, and Churchill. I am so glad you are here. Isn't it nice to be back in person again?
I think one of the last interviews I did was with you in 2020, and then we all went away, and now we get to finally be back again.
And I am so glad you were our first one. So welcome, welcome back. I can't wait to talk about this book. First of all, there are these heart-pounding scenes, there's intrigue, there are body doubles. Yeah, it sounds like a Brad Meltzer novel, but it's not a novel because this is true. So if we can set the stage a little bit, because what really got me started on this, the planning that was involved to get these three giants together for this meeting. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you have a moment where you see we're in Tehran, Iran, we're in 1943 in January, and the presidential motorcade is going through the street, and everyone's looking to see the president, everyone's waving, and there's a man who's waving back, but that's not the president at all. The real president of the United States, obviously FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, is in a different car. Not in a motorcade at all. He's in a beat-up car with a Jeep in front of him speeding through the back alleys of the street. And what they're doing is trying to hide him and get him to the Russian embassy so they can have a meeting of the big three, of Winston Churchill, of FDR, and of Joseph Stalin. And this is how the plan is taking place. I just ruined chapter 1 of The Nazi Conspiracy for you, but that's chapter 1. And what you see is the big three has never gotten together. They've never been together all in one room to make their plans together. And what The Nazi Conspiracy is about is a Nazi plot to kill them as they all finally get together for the very first time in 1943.
That is a chilling sentence. There are things in this book that make your hair stand on end.
Some of us.
Yeah. But there's one thing that, and this is just a little side thing. Churchill, not Churchill, but FDR, this was the second time, I guess, he'd flown by plane, correct?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, we think today if you want to put the leaders together, it's so easy to do. Back then, it was so much harder. I mean, travel was by train for the most part. You really didn't even go by car. FDR to get there takes part of the trip is by boat. He's on a big, giant U-boat. Can you imagine? So you're talking, one of the things that they had when they wanted him to leave is they said, if you leave, you have to understand no legislation can be passed while you're gone. And the Constitution requires certain amounts of time from when a law is voted to be yes, and the president has to vote on it. So they're trying to just figure out how do we get there and back quickly enough for the technology limits that they have. So the technology is the smallest part of it, plus you've got a bunch of Nazis trying to kill you as you're trying to do all this. So
logistics is one thing, but gamesmanship and egos, oh my goodness. And this is just one little part that there was a message that Roosevelt wanted to get to Stalin. And I believe he's asking Joseph Davies to hand deliver this message, totally cutting out Churchill. So who do you trust?
Well, that's what kind of caught me off guard. I found this story a number of years ago, and I remember thinking, wait, there's a secret plot by Nazis to kill FDR and Churchill and Stalin at the height of World War II. That's just interesting on its own. But what you just pointed out is exactly what got me, which is just how impossible it was to manage not just three egos, not just three countries, but also the dynamics that were just, that no one was fully committed to anyone else. We now tell the story of Churchill and Roosevelt were dear friends and they had each other's back. That's not how it was, right? FDR had his agenda because he wanted what's best for the United States. FDR agenda is different than Churchill, who wants what's best for, of course, the British. And Stalin is being slaughtered by Nazis on a daily basis in Leningrad, one of the biggest murders ever to happen in a city in all of history. He's trying to just keep his people alive. So it's completely tenuous. And so you have exactly what you said is FDR says, wait a minute, we got to do what's good for us. Don't tell Churchill what we're doing. Let me talk to Stalin first and get him in line with me. And you're literally watching these guys who were such great friends, or supposedly great friends, work around each other to get what they really needed in this moment in time.